How do you live up to a legend? Professor Fred Hollows gave the gift of sight to millions of people, curing the blind and teaching others how to carry on his work. When Fred died 18 years ago, his family vowed to honour his legacy, setting up eye clinics right around the world. And our son Cam is following in Dad's footsteps. I've just spent some time with the young fella in Vietnam, where he's volunteering his medical skills to help the blind and the broken. Fred was a good mate of mine, and I tell you what, he'd be mighty proud. Vietnam is another world away, but Fred Hollows fell in love with this place and with its people. And today, they're much better off because he did. Now Fred's son Cam Hollows, a third-year medical student, has picked up his old man's torch.
As you can see, Ray, he's got an awful traumatic cataract.
Looks terrible.
You don't have to be an eye surgeon to see that 50-year-old Vietnamese farmer Chan is blind because a rice seed pierced his eye.
And tomorrow?
He'll be able to see again.
Look at his smile.
You can't top that for work, can you?
You probably said too good. Too good.
That's right, that's right. As much as I can, mate. Yep, okay.
Let me tell you, watching eyeball surgery is not for the squeamish.
If you're going to faint, Ray, just try not to fall onto the patient.
I might just lean here, I think.
The very best of Fred Hollows trained surgeons perform this medical miracle 200 times a day. They're as fast as gun shearers.
Amazing, isn't it?
In 15 minutes of microsurgery, the cataract is cut free.
Oh, wow.
So here it is now, the lens.
And a new plastic lens is slotted in. It seems too darn simple.
That's the plastic intraocular lens going in. The lens itself actually costs about $5 to make. $25 for the whole operation, all the fluids and sutures and everything like that. But that's the miracle right there.
$25 for a miracle.
Yeah.
Now remember, just a moment ago, Farmer Chan was blind, but now he can see. And following in the footsteps of his father, Cam Hollows can see a life's work ahead of him.
Very good.
Now that you've seen it, you had a taste. Do you love it?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how you can see what the body does and see what it needs or what it takes to fix that up. And I think that's one of the best parts of this experience that I've had in Vietnam is that I've seen, exactly what medicine can give back to people.
It was in the outback that 60 Minutes first met Professor Fred Hollows, 30 years ago, battling the scourge of trachoma.
You got any glasses? No. We might.
Here,
try
blackfellas
testing
thought
glasses.
that going blind was just part of growing old. Hollows begged to differ. Have you been called a do-gooder?
Oh, I've been called a whole lot of bad things. I might be a do-gooder. If doing good's preventing people going blind and curing curable blindness, I don't care what they call me.
But Fred Hollows had a world vision about fixing blindness.
There's one eye doctor for every 1.5 million people in this part of the world.
And so, over the years, 60 Minutes has travelled this remarkable journey with him. Through the canyons of war-torn Eritrea, into the mountains of Nepal.
What did he say?
He says you can see quite well.
And across the rice paddies of Asia.
He's blind, completely blind in that eye.
So far, 7,000 surgeons and health workers have been trained here in Vietnam.
Very exciting.
Believe it or not, they've carried out 1 million operations. But 1 million operations in this country alone.
Yeah.
As a result of what he did.
And we've met surgeons who were trained by my dad, and they remember this little snot-nosed brat who was hanging around with him at the time, that's just so humbling. One of those surgeons that Fred trained, I met in the last couple of days. He's done 40,000 operations.
Cam has watched this heartwarming procedure, which his father pioneered since he was just a little boy.
How many? How many now? Yeah. Somebody once said, this sort of work's too good a work to do for money,
And all these years on, the results are just as rewarding.
Very good. Hey.
85-year-old Lee Tam has had surgery at the Hollows Clinic. And Hollywood couldn't reenact a homecoming like this one, when he sees his wife smile again for the first time in years. Complete with beetle nut-stained teeth and total amazement, she simply cannot believe it.
Sight is life, you know? When we give people back their sight, we give them back their life, but not only them, we give all the people that have been helping them back their life as well.
Can you see that baby one?
When I first met Gabby Hollows, she was pregnant with Cam, out the back of Catherine, working as an eye specialist with Fred.
Can you see my hand up?
This husband and wife team became the inspiration of the Hollows Foundation.
No, can't see you, mate.
It's an incredible thing to watch everyone. Like, it's almost sort of disbelief sometimes. People don't really realise that they can actually see. And it kind of comes in slowly and they go, oh my goodness, you know.
And then they smile.
And then they smile. That's miraculous. That's magical. That's, you know, spellbinding, you know. It just sucks everybody in and everyone around them watching and the joy that it brings to their families.
As their own family grew, Fred and Gabby travelled the world, spreading that joy, until Fred's health finally gave up.
Well, look, the saddest thing about me dying will be leaving the kids. And Gabby, of course. You know, death is something you never live to regret. But, and you know, as they say, a man's time has arrived when he looks at death. When I look at death, the great thing that'll bother me will be leaving young kids.
Young women and children.
After beating a brain tumour, Fred, who was still only in his early 60s, slowly lost out to cancer. Cam was only 10, a big brother to 4 little sisters.
I guess I've mourned for him many times since then, but I wish it hadn't happened. I wish we'd had a few more years together, or particularly my little sisters had a few more years with him.
If someone says Fred Hollows, out of the blue, what do you think of?
It's Dad, first and foremost, I think, is the thing we remember. I think we all know that Fred is a lot of things to a lot of people and is a special person for a lot of people.
With Hollows as their surname, they've got no choice. They've got to keep the faith.
We kind of all have this passion to kind of give back to him and to the foundation and to the work that we see that's being done in kind of our name and his name.
It makes it interesting when you see his, you know, face on the bus stop or something and you just think, hi Dad, I'm just, you know, off to do whatever you're doing in your life, so yeah.
Well, I have to say, I think he'd be very proud of all of you.
Hopefully. He'd probably be also telling us to keep going and, you know, keep bloody going and keep it up.
Why aren't you doing this? Should be doing that.
That bus stop photo that still inspires the Hollows girls features a little Vietnamese boy named Giap. Well, Giap is now a 28-year-old man, a college maths teacher who survives and thrives because Fred fixed his blindness.
Good morning, Giap. How are you? It's good to see you. Very good to see you. How are you going?
Today, Giap has returned to the same spot, the National Eye Hospital in Hanoi, where a visiting Australian eye doctor somehow plucked him out of the crowd all those years ago.
Good to meet you. Now, it was here.
Right here.
Where
right
Giap
here
was
in the
standing.
hospital. Yeah. When you met my father and you looked in his eyes.
Yes.
When we have the small boy just here. Just here. And
Well, you've got it here. You want it.
As a 10-year-old kid blind in Vietnam, he wouldn't have had a snowballs.
Well, in fact, let's get realistic. There's a good chance as a 10-year-old kid here, blind in one eye, that he may not have survived.
That's right. I think they say that about 60% of children who are blind in the developing world are dead within 12 months of becoming blind. You know, before that would have been completely opaque. Wouldn't have been able to see through it even to count fingers or anything.
Hundreds of thousands of children can see today because Professor Fred Hollows came here 20 years ago and he taught the surgeons.
You can see that now have a membrane.
Yes.
And now Cam Hollows is learning from this Vietnamese professor, who, as it happens, was a student of Fred's.
He can see better than before.
The circle is complete.
What did you think of Fred as a man? Was he short-tempered?
He very angry.
Very angry?
the hot temper.
Very hot temper is true.
Yeah.
Of course, people's medicine in Vietnam today is not just about fixing blindness. It's also about fixing broken legs and broken heads. In this chaotic and energetic nation of 90 million, there's an epidemic of road accidents. It's carnage out there.
Very different from that nice precise eye surgery that you saw my father do so many years ago. But nevertheless equally important, because if this doesn't get fixed, this bloke's never going to walk again. Yeah. So Zhang's taught me how to tie these knots.
On a Sydney University medical scholarship, Cam is seeing more surgery here in a month than a year back in Australia.
Routine?
These violent operations are done with just an epidural, with the patients still wide awake.
You see the patients who are crook as rookwood, some of them. I mean, some of them are very, very, very sick, in huge amounts of pain. But you won't hear a sniffle, you know. I can see my dad really identifying with that, with that hardiness of the people.
Without the hot temper or the gravel voice, Cam Hollows is taking his own medical pilgrimage, always conscious that his father is looking over his shoulder.
But I also know that my father would not have accepted this medal as a sign to stop.
Today, the son of the great man, along with his sister Ruth, finds himself accepting Vietnam's highest honour, the Friendship Award, on behalf of the Hollows Foundation.
It should make all of you very proud, because it certainly makes me very proud.
And Cam knows better than anyone that his cantankerous old man would be saying, "Come on, son, pull your finger out and get on with it."
You only have to travel anywhere in the world and you can see there'll be somebody who's crook, or there'll be somebody whose legs buggered, or somebody whose eyes buggered. We've got no reason to be patting ourselves on the back while other human beings live in that sort of state. When we have within our arm's reach the technology to fix almost all of these problems, and it's just a matter of willpower.
Coming up, it's really sad. You feel abandoned, unworthy.
A life of torment.
It's pretty shocking. Sorry.
This young woman is the victim of a failed system.
Residential care, it's a flawed concept.
She should have been protected, but wasn't.
What kind of parent do you think the Victorian government is being?
It's a horrible parent.
So who's prepared to finally stand up?
They are being sexually exploited, targeted by predators.
And right the wrongs.
Why aren't we all outraged about this?
We are failing these children in terrible ways.
That's next on 60 Minutes.